Casey Martin.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I'd like to spend my time to talk about education, and it's interesting to have the Minister of Education speak quite fervently about the wonderful things that this government is doing, in their view, for education here in New Zealand. And I want to take my time to stand up particularly for Hato Petura, because somebody has to. Because somebody has to. I want to point out in the House today that this government has gone on and on and on, particularly when they were working in consultation with the ACT Party around the opening of charter schools, that they were passionate about achievement for Māori students, that they were passionate about making sure that Māori students had the best possible academic start in this country. And that was why, for example, they gave $1.68 million to Whangaruru up in the far north because they were passionate about Māori students. They handed over a farm with taxpayers' money, and they gave that away because of how passionate they were for Māori students. And yet, sir, the other thing that the general public may not be aware of is that since 2009, in today's current budget and this education year, close to $4 million has also been handed over by this government to private schools inside the Aspire Scholarship. So this is again working way back, I think it was in 2005, with the ACT Party. They've now budgeted close to $4 million, $3.9 million in Aspire scholarships to give to private schools to try and lift academic achievement. And Wanganui Collegiate was one of those schools, and Destiny Church was one of those schools. And yet, sir, only $576,000 has ever been put aside by this government for boarding schools directly catering for Māori students. So that's close to $4 million by this government and their partner, the ACT Party, to subsidise private schools, take children out of fine public schools and fund them to go into private schools, but only $576,000 in the 2014 year budget to actually support Māori students into Māori schools and board there, so that those living in isolated rural areas who show promise can come to schools such as Hato Petura. And let's have a talk also about how this minister has lauded the outcomes of some of these charter schools. And let's take the fact that the minister and the member for the ACT Party stood up and talked about the Vanguard, for example, and achieving 100% outcomes at NCEA. And yet not a single word from that minister when in 2013, Hato Petura had 100% NCEA achievement. 100%. And how did they get it? Because Hato Petura has introduced a program with past students who studied at the AUT just around the road, well connected to the school inside Northcote. Those past students come back and mentor current students. That's future thinking about education. That's future proofing the education of these Māori students. They've also opened a military services academy on the grounds of Hato Petura. But is there a word from the minister to acknowledge Hato Petura's future forward planning? Not a single word, but she will stand and she will talk about a private profit-making institution with taxpayers' money and laud it in this House and pat the ACT Party on the head, but not a single support for Hato Petura. And all this school requires is the minister to support it in conversation with the diocese. And the diocese was gifted that land for Māori education. There are other problems with land gifted for Māori education that this government should be addressing directly and releasing that information. If the minister says that we're so transparent in education, then why is it so difficult for my colleague to gain any information around the sale of Māori land in the Wairarapa that was given for educational trust? And before I finish my time, sir, I want to raise two other issues. First of all, I want to congratulate the Northern Action Group on their success in their court ruling when they were summarily dismissed by the Local Government Commission in their attempts to have the north part of Rodney removed from the super city of Auckland. And I also want to put a shout out to Salisbury School, which is being strangled by this government. Salisbury School down to 9 students. They are the highest need students, and this government has decided to kill it through silence, kill it through non-recommendation. These students, this school is required for these students, and yet this government will kill this school off within a year.
Dr. Kennedy Graham.